Hello, Howard. This is Stephen McIntosh. I'm recording from my home right now. When I spoke with you, I was at Group Dynamics. I just wanted to give you a little visual of what I look like because I'm going to put this into the tape of our conversation. But anyway, I enjoyed talking to you. Good conversation, some real talk for real people. And that's who we are. So anyway, enjoy the video I'm sending you, which is the recording of our conversation. Thanks. See you later. Anyway, well, Howard, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Yeah. So anyway, how are you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah. So if you can update me a little bit about your injury and things of that nature.
You want me to?
Yes, please. That would be helpful. Yeah.
Well, I was hiking in the mountains and I slipped on a boulder, slipped on another boulder, wet one.
Yeah.
Went face down in the creek and broke my neck.
Oh my goodness.
C3, C4 got
Yeah.
fused.
Okay.
And I've been more or less like this since, which irritates the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Since I used to be really active and now I can't do anything.
Yeah. Right. So how long ago was that?
7 months ago.
Okay. So you are early in the game.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your condition now, you're a C3, C4. Have you noticed any changes whatsoever in your hands, your arms, toes, ankles, legs?
Definitely. I'm getting more and more feeling, but it's slow.
Right. Right. So where are you getting your feeling?
Both hands. I can move some fingers on both hands.
Right.
Down to my elbows, I have feeling.
Okay.
Not farther on. Except for my fingers, which I have feeling.
Okay.
I can move my left leg pretty good, my right leg not so good.
Okay.
I can sit up, but it's hard. And
Right.
I'm not all that good at it. What else can I feel? I can feel my shoulders down to a little bit on my chest, and that's it.
Yeah. Can you shrug your shoulders?
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned you can move your hands a little bit, your
Yeah,
fingers.
I move my fingers.
Okay. So, and you're only 7 months in, and when you first came home, or this is all stuff you've actually recovered since your injury.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So I'm not a doctor and I'm not going to make any promises, but I would say your trajectory is very good.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And I can just reference my case and a few other people that I know. See, I'm a C4, C5, so I'm not as high as you. And as high as you are, that should take out your arms altogether. It should take out all your scaps, your shoulders, your hands, and your legs. I'm not sure about your legs. But so for you to have any of that coming back. Now, you did mention you had surgery,
Right.
which may have helped because I never had surgery. So all I'm saying is I'm impressed. I'm very impressed.
Good.
Yeah. So I think, again, I'm not a doctor, but whatever you're doing in order to promote stretching and movement, continue doing that. If you have anyone that's a physical therapist or someone who is a good massage therapist that understands spinal cord injury.
Right.
Use those guys. Even your wife, for her to get some training. Again, it's tough on our spouses because they're doing so much and it can be physical, but maybe a friend, just get them to get the rudimentary exercise which they can download online or pick them up from a Baylor or any sort of hospital.
Okay.
It's not rocket science. It's very basic.
I have a lot of people that are doing some of those things. Yes.
Yeah. So definitely continue that, because when you're doing that, you're doing a couple of things. Number one, you're promoting circulation in your blood. You're also activating your ligaments, your tendons. You're putting pressure on your bones, so you're improving your bone density, which is important. You're also promoting muscle use, because your muscles will react even though you may not feel it, but they're going to respond when people start moving your legs.
Yep.
Now, 7 months in, you may find that 12 months in, you may start be able to do a little bit of resistance training. In other words, as people push up on your foot, now you can actually, as they lower your leg, you can now push into their hand. I mean, just little things like that.
Yeah, I can push with both legs, but
Okay.
my left one's much stronger.
Yeah. So even hearing that, I would say you're in a good trajectory. So keep that up, and because I think, not being a doctor, but I think it's going to get a lot better. Whether you ever can be the active person you were before, I'd probably say probably not. However, for you to have independence, where your spouse, your wife, is not so doesn't have to work with you as much, and you don't need that intense care. Hopefully you can get enough independence where we can get beyond that.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent, actually.
So don't take me for a promise, but all I can say is that 7 months, Howard, I'm 10 years and I have recovered some stuff, which has made me able to do some things, but I have none of near the recovery that you do.
That I have.
Right. So, however, I've made do with my life. I mean, a lot of it is acceptance. It's it's you, Howard, and yourself, and the world. You're an adventurer. You've got a strong will and a strong mind, and now you've got to harness those and put those into play to really accept this challenge, because the only person that really can help you, you're going to get a lot of coaching and a lot of support from other people. And we welcome that, and that helps. But it does come down to you and me dealing with this every day.
If you don't move, you're not gonna get better, I guess.
Right. So the other part is, what do you do to occupy your time right now?
Well, I do exercises and I watch some TV, which I didn't used to do, and I go to some of my grandkids' basketball games.
Okay.
And that's about it. I try to help my kids fix things if there's something I can tell them about.
Yeah. It's pretty hard when you can't put your hands on it.
Oh, it's just frustrating as heck.
Yeah.
Something I could do in 5 minutes takes me 10 minutes to tell them what to do.
Yeah. And even then, it's still a journey to try to communicate well.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. I think you and you're probably, I think you and I are related because same challenges of being the guy for fix it and energy and action.
Yep.
All of a sudden being sidelined where you just can't do that anymore.
I know. It's like I can look at a thermostat and rewire it, but can I tell them how to do it? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting because all the different personality types, you tell them one thing and they kind of go down a different trail. But it's
Yeah.
so but stick with it. I think and I'm not sure who told me this, but again, just the experience of having that self-worth and that motivation of doing things.
Yep.
And how do we find that again? It's difficult.
Yep.
So if you think about things that would energize your self-worth and things of that nature, does anything come to mind?
Just how I used to help single mothers and people, like old people that couldn't do things. I used to fix things for them. Now it's like I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to be a semiconductor engineer and I could, I don't know, invent things. Now I can't. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And this new life, I think it's something to explore on many different levels. I think what I'm doing now, and again, it's 10 years. And boy, it took a while because, you go into those dark spaces when you're just having a real hard time.
yep.
But I think now I own my business.
Did you always?
I did. So when I was injured, I had a place to go, which was very fortunate.
Yeah.
However, my role changed because I was the key trainer for student groups and corporate groups. We do a physical program and it's ropes course, as well as experiential learning, where we do action games and puzzles, problem solving with groups.
Okay.
So it may involve hammers and nails. It can involve puzzles. It can involve just about anything running, hiking. It involves just physical interaction with others in order to solve problems. And so when I got injured, that part of the business almost stopped because I was the key trainer.
Yep.
But we got over that. And so I had to kind of figure out, where do I go from here?
Is your company Group Dynamics?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you probably can see it on the internet.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I did learn to do is, because I do like computers, or actually I like them more now, is I do video and video editing. So I can do, for the spinal cord injury crowd, I can, with my cell phone on my chair, everything's voice activated. So now I can do video. I can do family video at my business, video of wildlife, and in my way do video editing and then send it on to various people. So that's a hobby I picked up.
That's pretty good. It sounds to me like. How do you have a voice activated phone and a computer?
I do. So do you have a computer?
Not now. No, I mean I did, but
Okay.
it was all keyboard.
Yeah. So do you enjoy the computer?
Yes.
Okay. So if we can get you a computer, and if we can get you a like a Surface Pro, a Windows, I don't know if you're a Mac person or a Windows person. Either way, you're gonna be fine.
Windows.
Okay, good. But we can set you up so that you have a good enough computer so you can do everything. We can, you can get the Dragon dictation software, which is a voice activation tool.
Right.
Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Been around for a while.
Yeah. So with a little bit of practice, you can become pretty independent with that. And so now everything you used to do with your fingers on your computer, you can do with your voice.
Okay.
Whether it's Excel, Word, Outlook, Publisher, even Excel doing algorithms, formulas, spreadsheets. In film editing, if you have a film editing software, which again, these things are cheap these days, you just download them and there you go.
Sounds good.
Now, with your fingers coming back in your hands, if you do get some coordination on how to manipulate your arms, where your fingers can you get on a keyboard or something or a mouse, then that's just going to open up a larger window for you to interact with the computer.
Okay. When you talk with Dragon software, does it spell the words for you?
Yes. So if I'm talking to you now, matter of fact, I think I'm recording our conversation right now. Yeah, I am recording this meeting. Anyway, when you talk, you can see it dictating right on there on Outlook. So after you see it, go back and see if any words are misspelled. And if you're using Grammarly or just basic editing spelling software that comes with Outlook, it'll go back and you can go back and correct it really easily.
Okay.
That has a self-correcting feature.
That's good because sometimes it misinterprets things and it's funny.
Yeah.
Or worse.
Yeah. Do you well, it is funny. Do you have a cell phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so your story reminds me of when I text, how I always have to read it before I send it because
oh yeah,
you never know what you got there.
Yeah. It's got stuff in there that's like, no, that's not right.
Yeah. So now, has anyone talked to you about how to use voice activation on your cell phone?
No.
Okay. Do you have an iPhone or Google, whatever?
It's an Android, I think.
Android, but it's
okay.
LG or Samsung or somebody.
So I have an iPhone. So I'm going to go through what I do on the iPhone, which again, these products I'm guessing are very similar.
Okay.
They use a little bit different command, but I think they do the same thing. So my cell phone has a voice activation program in it. So I'll go to my cell phone and I'll say, hey, Siri, turn on voice control. And when I say that,
control is already turned on.
See my phone or just let me know that voice control is already on. So now that it's on, I turn on the microphone, wake up, and on my screen, show numbers continuously. Now on my screen, every icon has a number next to it. On my front screen here, I have 29 icons and each one has a number. So by saying number, for example, if I want to go to my Audible because I want to listen to a book, I'll say 8. 8. Now my Audible account's open.
Okay.
So that's an example that with just your voice, you can work your phone. You can then. So I would investigate with the Android.
All right.
It's probably under accessibility. So you should not have to touch your phone at all.
Really? Okay.
And then when you're texting, it's the same old thing. You're going to dictate. And then when you see that there's some mistakes, you'll just use speech in order to make corrections. And that's
Okay.
something you'll learn. Yeah.
That's easy. I like it.
So your phone is there. So right now, my wife takes off in the evening sometimes for an hour or two. And I say, fine, get out of here. And I'm on my phone. I test it. You know, I'll sit there and go, hey, Siri, text Dan McIntosh. Or I'll do a phone call with the speaker on. And first she goes out the door, so I know I'm connecting, then she goes away. And if I have a problem, I just call her or text her.
That works, yeah.
Because I think one of the things that we experience, it's going to be, depending on how involved your spouse is in your care,
Real involved.
is
Too involved.
yeah, it's burnout.
Yep.
So part of our job is to help manage that,
Yes.
because they don't manage it very well.
Yes.
So that's something to think about. But I think when you sit down and talk to your spouse about it, saying, okay, this is something we really have to get our arms around. Let's just talk about this and find out what the best way to go about this. I mean, the load is on your shoulders, but let's work on this together.
And let's reduce the load.
Yeah. Now, do you have a caregiver?
I have several.
Okay. And how involved are they?
A couple are quite involved and some are not, are
Okay.
only paid.
What time of day do they help?
Oh, good point. Have somebody overnight. It's mostly for my wife's comfort level,
Okay.
so she can sleep. And then I have 2 or 3 people during the day. My daughters, my son,
Okay.
a couple of friends. They trade off.
Yeah. I think you're very smart. You're wise to have the rotation. Just though, you know, the burnout.
Right.
Yeah. And you know, when we have our caregivers, it's going to sound kind of odd, but you actually are a caregiver for the caregiver. You know, keeping them safe from injury, and keeping them motivated and because yeah, it's so easy for us to get negative and just go down those rabbit trails. And you know what it's like if you're around someone who's complaining all the time. Eventually, they'll show up, but they'll make sure there's a way to get out of there pretty quickly.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have to think.
Used to work with a guy like that complained all the time.
Yeah.
I just avoided him whenever I could.
Yeah. So even though we are saddled with this horrid injury, which has taken away all this stuff, now all of a sudden we're got this other stuff on our shoulders where we have to be caregivers of everyone who's involved with us.
Yep.
Which, you know, that can be motivating to see the joy of someone that truly wants to be around and spend time and take you out in the car or do whatever. Can really shine a light on things.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the caregiving, I don't want to get too personal, but the bathing and all that, who's doing that for you?
Usually my daughters.
Okay. So, because you have the bathing, you have the clothing and the feeding of food,
Yeah.
all those things. Yep. Now during the day, whoops, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay. My computer just did something. So give me 1 second and I'm going to get back. My screen changed. There we go. I'm back in business. Go to sleep. I said that to turn the microphone off on my computer. So what were we talking about?
Caregivers.
Right. And taking care of them and doing the bathing and things of that nature, the feeding, dressing. Then it comes the time. How much time do you spend in your chair? How much time do you spend in your bed?
About 7 or 8 hours in the chair, and the rest in bed or in the shower.
Okay, there you go. You're an exhibitionist then.
Yeah,
There you go. So what hours are you in your chair?
usually from 9 o'clock till 7:30.
7:30 at night.
Yeah,
Oh, good for you. That's awesome. At 7 months, you're doing well, Howard. That's good. When you're in your chair, well, explain your chair to me. What kind of chair do you have?
I don't know the brand, but it's a electric in a lot of ways, and it will tilt back
Okay.
and of course move in all directions. And I don't know, that's about it.
So you're able to shift the weight, the center of gravity by tilting back and
Yes,
tilting forward. Can you extend your legs?
yes,
Okay, good. So it's probably some kind of permobile or similar chair.
right.
Does it stand? Does it have a standing feature?
No,
Okay. So I would say your chair is everything my chair does. However, it does not have the standing feature, which I have.
right.
Because I had to get a medical clearance in order to get that for the insurance company to pay for that. But I was able to convince them about health reasons with pressure sores and circulation and the like, and my job, that the insurance community said, okay, we're going to approve the standing feature, so they paid for it.
Who was your insurance company?
At the time, it was Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas.
Okay,
So now I'm on Medicare,
me too.
and I don't think Medicare is going to buy it. So
Okay,
I just got this chair this February, so I know it's good for another 5-10 years if I take care of it. So if I ever had to get a new one, I'm just going to have to figure out, how do I convince Medicare it's a necessity?
yeah,
Um,
or buy it yourself.
yeah, they're expensive.
What do they
It's always a
cost?
possibility. Yeah. So you have your chair. Are you happy with your chair?
Reasonably, yeah.
Okay. Now your skin, as far as your butt, your elbows, arms, do you have any pressure sores or any other problems with your skin?
I did have on my butt. I don't anymore.
Okay, good. And
Nothing else.
how are you preventing pressure sores? What do you do to prevent those?
I have a air mattress,
Okay.
and then I tilt back in the chair.
Okay, good. So you're doing butt reliefs during the day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And your chair sounds like it was engineered for you.
Yes.
So the seat you have is either a Roho or maybe a J3 gel, something like that.
It's not a Roho, but I don't know what else it is. It's a gel.
Is it? Okay. That's good. So I think whoever was taking care of you and the technicians that were trying to design and the medical community that was working with you made some really good decisions for you.
Yeah.
and that's important.
Yeah.
So now the challenge is staying healthy, keeping your skin clean, staying physically active as you can, so you can promote more mobility, if you will, and then how to get the mind really on a positive track every day. And I think the good news is you're in your chair. So when you're in your chair, what are you doing?
Oh, what am I doing? Roaming around looking at things. When it warms up, I'm going to do some outside stuff. Right now, it's too darn cold.
Yeah.
We're in Idaho, and it's pretty cold. And I don't know. I'm going to go up to the cabins as soon as I can.
Good for you. Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's great to hear. When I'm working with folks, I've noticed quite a few folks become homebodies, and that creates more of that dark tunnel depression.
Okay.
You end up going to bed, and then once they do that, I say you really have just given in. So the rule of thumb is get in your chair every day, whether you want to or not, unless the doctor says no. If you don't want to, just because you don't want to, I say get in your chair. And every day, if possible, get outside. If it's cold, well, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, but boy, the fresh air and that slap in the face feels great.
Okay.
And I just encourage people to go to the world, because the world is not going to come to you.
That's true.
The world really doesn't know you exist. But Howard, you're the type of person, you're an adventurer. When you go out into the world, they're going to know you exist and they're going to appreciate you. So whether there's malls or whatever indoor places, or just places your wife likes to go, I don't know if you go to church or there's things your kids are doing with basketball, but all those are wonderful opportunities to go out and connect with the world.
Go to church one of these days too.
Yeah. But that's really important. The other thing I talk about is weight control. You know, we're predisposed to sitting all day. Go figure on that one.
Yeah.
And so if we don't take care and have a really strict discipline on what we eat and how much we eat, we can gain a lot of weight, or what I call thickness. Sometimes it isn't so much weight, it's just a big belly. And once you get it, it's very difficult to get rid of it.
Okay.
So I encourage people to, number one, figure out what your major comfort weight is and thickness is. You know, mine is really no more, I can't be more than 34 inches on my waist. Once I get over that, my breathing is restricted. I've got too much pushing up on my diaphragm, and so on and so forth. I'm gaining too much weight, so my butt is probably going to be predisposed to pressure sores, because that extra 10 pounds is just, I'm sitting on it. So,
yep, you're right.
So again, working with your caregivers and the people who feed you, let's figure out what the diet should be. And again, that's, people will feed you anything. You know, you're like Mikey in the commercial.
You're right. Mikey likes it.
So, but if you can keep your weight and thickness in check and take care of your skin, that's going to make the world of difference.
Good point. Yeah, I have tube feeding going on, and I'd like to get rid of it.
How does the tube feeding work?
They put it on at night, and then they take it off when it runs out.
So where does the tube go?
I've got a peg tube in my belly.
Oh, so you are being fed through the tube. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. How long is that going to happen?
I wish I weren't, because I think I can eat enough to not need it.
So,
but you have to have a doctor's recommendation to get rid of it.
So what's required for you to get rid of it?
Some doctor to say, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Swallow.
Oh, you have to do the swallow the speech therapy test.
You're
Yeah.
right. I got to do that. Forgot that.
Have you tried that yet?
Twice. I
Oh.
failed it both times.
So what happened when you failed it?
They kept the tube feeding on.
Well, when you did the test, what was going on in your
Oh,
throat
Yes.
or whatever?
it was called
Yes.
silent aspiration. Just a little bit of aspiration.
So a little bit of choking and gagging.
No, I wasn't doing that, but they were x-raying it and I could see some going down the wrong tube.
Okay.
And you got pneumonia.
Yes.
At first I got pneumonia. Now I haven't had pneumonia for, I don't know, 2 months.
Tell him you have another test next week.
I have another test next week on.
Yeah.
Well,
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's serious stuff. That little flap or whatever it is, when that does not work well, and whether it's because of the way we are eating or because of something else, if that's not closing all the way, it does create complications, which you've experienced, such as pneumonia, when you get that stuff into your lungs.
exactly.
So you're a smart man to pay attention to that. And I'm not sure what exercises or what you can do to try to get beyond that. Has anyone given you any ideas about that?
Oh yeah, I do Masako and Mendelssohn swallowing
Okay,
and all that stuff every day.
you do. And how's it going?
It's going fine. I think I expect to pass the test next week.
Okay. You know, it's interesting because after 10 years, I have noticed I'm now having a little bit more of an issue with that.
Really?
Yeah, now 10 years ago, I did pass the speech therapy on the first try. They gave me all the yogurt or whatever it was. And it worked. And I was pleased, but it scared me because I really had to work hard to beat that test.
Okay.
But I did. And so I went on and I never really had a problem. But I'm noticing now, and I'm only 65, but I'm noticing that I'm beginning to get some leakage. And what that's causing is coughing. You know, all of a sudden, a lot of phlegm will form in my lungs. So I'm coughing. And the good news is the phlegm is forming around whatever got into my lungs. And now I'm coughing it up and I can get rid of it. However, I guess my story is I'm now beginning to experience that. And so I can really appreciate what you're going through.
I do pretty good. Do you have a cough assist machine?
I don't. My wife will do it. She's looking for an excuse to kick me in the stomach every once in a while. So she says, tell me when you're going to cough so I can punch you.
That's
And I
right.
say, okay, I'm going to cough. And she goes, oh, I was too late. I'm so sorry. Let's try that again. Now, I think so far I'm pretty independent. I have a trainer that comes 3 times a week. And he'll lay me down on my stomach and he'll have me go through my coughing exercise. And he'll do the coughing assistance where he's using the palm of his hand and pushing up into my diaphragm. Yeah.
Laying on your stomach in bed?
No, I lay on my back.
So you're laying on your stomach where?
I never lay on my stomach. I can't. I would suffocate.
Oh, okay. So I thought you said you coughed by laying on your stomach. He lays.
No, I'm laying on my back. And what my trainer does when he helps me, he puts the palm of his hand on my diaphragm while I'm on my back.
Okay.
So when I cough, he times it and he pushes, and that pushes that extra bit of air. So whatever's in my lungs comes up.
So your diaphragm is still weak after 10 years?
It is. I have a breathing apparatus, and it's a very simple machine. It's one where you inhale, and it measures the volume in
So it's called a
cc's.
BiPAP.
I think so. But when I was using it again, probably 3 or 4 years ago, I used it quite a bit. I was up to 1,500. And then I did some research about athletes and what they do, and they're up to 5,000 or whatever. So then I've been in the hospital a couple of times. When I've come out, I've lost some capacity, so now I'm down to 1,000. So that scared me. So now I'm on a jag to try to exercise and increase my volume. Get
Okay.
it back up there.
Yeah, I can believe that.
So have you used that machine?
Yes.
And
I think I'm at 450.
okay, so you got some work to do.
Yeah, I sure do.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, depending on how you're sitting, because it can compress your diaphragm if you're sitting very perpendicular. If you can find angles where you begin to open up your lungs a little bit, you may be able to uptake more air.
Good point.
And then if you can do the exercise of sipping air in and holding it, and all those exercises to expand your lungs.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I think we can get you up to 1,000.
I figured 1,000 was unreachable, but maybe you've proven it's reachable.
Yeah. It'll just come in 50 increments of 50 or whatever it is. May take you 6 months or whatever.
Okay. Now that's intake, tidal, volume, right?
It is. And I'm using 1,000. I should go online and figure out the machine I'm using and send it to you. So whatever the measurement is, you can see it and understand what the calculus is.
Okay.
Otherwise, my 1,000 could be 5,000 on your machine. So
Yeah.
So
Okay.
check that. But anyway, you look good.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I feel pretty good, but the lack of mobility is pressing on me some. I guess I just gotta accept it.
Well, you do, and ways to get out. In other words, it is winter. I've taken to things I never really did before, which was reading audible books. My computer, again, I can do my Kindle books from Amazon. I get involved in book studies with my family. People will say, as a family, okay, let's pick a book and we'll all read it. We'll get together, talk about it. We're just doing little things like that. Just
Sure. You have computer control and phone control. I can get that too, so I will.
Yeah. Yeah, I could send you. I don't know if I got any video. I was working with someone in Chicago a couple of days ago, and they were amazed about the computer. And so I said, yeah, let me send you something. I said, and actually go online, check out Dragon Dictation. It is somewhat expensive. In other words, so you have to get a computer. The software, I think, is $300.
Okay.
Maybe more. The computer, you're going to want to get 16 gigabytes of RAM, just because you need that to run all the apps. And if you have a touch screen, that would be beneficial, because at some point you may be able to touch, or your wife to help you when she comes in, because something may not be working on your computer. She
Yeah.
can use the pen or her fingers to touch the screen.
Okay.
And then you'll need a microphone. And there's two ways to go about that. The Surface Pro comes with a pretty good mic. And so I think I'm using that right now.
Is that Surface or Surface?
Surface.
FACE.
Yeah, the Windows product, they have that Surface Pro.
Yeah.
And the latest one I bought for work is the number 8. And the one I bought for home was 2 years ago. I bought the number 6.
Okay.
But that'll keep you busy to go out and go to some store and Best Buy or whatever, wheel around in there and take a look at this stuff and do your research. So again, you're smarter than the salesman, which won't take much.
Yeah.
So, and then away you go. And then figure out the best place to buy it if it's Amazon, because you may be able to get it a couple of $100 off, depending on what vendor you actually buy it from.
Well, my son works for HP. Maybe I can get one from them.
Oh, HP, yeah. So, and their product is probably just as good as the Windows product.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they'll have a tablet program. So
Okay.
there you go. So,
All right. Well, Stephen, you helped immeasurably.
well, thank you. And I just appreciate you reaching out, because if you don't reach out, then you're really stuck. Yeah, you're stuck.
You're stuck in a cocoon.
Yeah. So that takes clusters when you're used to doing it all on your own. So I commend you on that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll do this again.
Yeah. So you guys just notify me when you want to get together again. If you want more information and details on the computers, dragonization, then I'll start pumping that stuff towards you.
Do it, please.
Okay. So anyway, good to see you.
Good to see you, Stephen.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye now.